Hello class, welcome to lab number 7, part 1, handling text files. In this lab, we are going to keep it simple. We're going to focus on the main functionality of the commands, and we want to get practice, right? We want to get our hands dirty using the commands. We want to understand how they work and how we could use them to solve problems later on. In part number 2, we're going to then use what we learn in this lab so that we can solve real problems that always come about when we're using our computer. So let's get started. The first ones that we're going to cover are very easy: cat, head, and tail. And I have here 5 instructions for you to complete, and then you're going to take the necessary screenshots to prove that you did them. So let's get started with part 1. So we have display the content of serial.csv. Now notice that I didn't tell you where this file is located. Well, that's simple. Notice that I have notes here. Before you can start this lab, you need to download the books and all the files that we need. So we did it in class, but in case you didn't get an opportunity to do it in class, all you have to do is go to slide number 3 and number 4 of the presentation, right? And here you're gonna have instructions on how to do this. I haven't done it in this computer, so if you've done it, you can skip this part and go straight to question 1, or you can do it with me if you have not. So to do this, we're going to download an installer script that's going to download our text files script that we're going to use to get all of these files into our computer. So let's get started. So we're going to start with curl. Here, let me make this a little bigger. Great. Then we provide the URL to the file, which is cis106.com/assets/scripts/tfi.sh. Then we are going to save this using the -o option to a file called tfi.sh. Then we're going to change the permissions of this file so that we can execute it as a command. We're going to cover that later on in the class. Don't worry if you don't understand it right now. And then we're going to execute the script with /tfa.sh. This is going to give us a menu over here. The following programs are going to be installed in your system because they are required by the script. So let's type our password over here. Make sure that you do an update. The script will do an update anyway, so if the script is taking a while to execute, it's probably because it's updating your system. It will not do an upgrade, it will only do an update so that the packages can be installed. So keep that in mind. Now, this script will download textfiles.sh, and that's the program or script that we're going to use to get our books, CSV, and JSON files. Do you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. And that's it. Simple as that. If it creates these 2 files if you already don't have them in the system, and that's it. Now we can simply do text files -h for help, and then it says here that in order for us to download the books, we can do one of these 3 options. For CSV is one of those 3, and for JSON files is one of those 3. So let's give it a shot. So let's do text files -b, and I'm gonna do 6. Download all the books, and it says all the books have been downloaded. They are located in the books directory inside your documents directory. So now let's do the CSV files 7, and finally we're gonna do the JSON files. Okay, that is done. Now go navigate to your documents directory, and here if you do an ls, you're gonna see that you have 3 directories now: books, CSV, and JSON. So if we do a 3 of the current directory, notice that you have all the files here that you're gonna need. We're gonna use this file for this presentation and also for the upcoming one. You're also gonna use most of these files in your final exam as well. If you're having any problems with this, let me know. Instructions are here. I'm available via Slack as well. With that said, I'm going to clear my screen. I'm going to stay in the documents directory because that's what I'm going to be working from for the remaining of the lab. So serial.csv is a CSV file, so we're going to find that in the CSV directory. Notice that I have something called serial.csv over here. Great. Now for this, we're going to use the cat command, and we're going to simply type cat serials.csv. Press enter, and it's going to display the content of that file in the screen. That's what the cat command does. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. I'm going to take my first screenshot. Flame seems to not be working in this machine. Okay, just gonna use it manually for now. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this part here because this part contains my command that I ran to answer the question and a little bit of the output of the command. That's all I need to get credit. So I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna go to labs. Let me disable hidden files. Again, if you have hidden files enabled and you don't want to see them, just press Control plus H and that should do the trick. CIS 106, labs, and here I'm gonna create a folder called lab 7. Seems like I haven't done lab number 6 in this machine, which is fine. And then I'm gonna call this one question 1.1.png because that's the first part of the question. Unfortunately for this lab, we're gonna have to take a lot of screenshots because these files are large. Now we're gonna display the content of the same file in reverse order, and for that we use tag. So notice that when I do cat serials.csv, the last line that I get over here is indeed the last line in the file. But if I run tag, I get the opposite. The first line is displayed as the last line because it does the same thing as cat but the other way around, right? Upside down. Again, all I have to do here is take a screenshot of my command. I can simply show the last command that I ran and then take a screenshot here. And there you go. This is my second answer. This is question 1.2.png. Display the content of the serial.csv file. Let me fix this formatting real quick. Okay, let me refresh. Done. Display the content of the serial.csv file with line numbers showing non-printable characters and the $sign. Now, the answer to this is in the presentation. We're gonna do it over here anyways, but I'm gonna show you where to find them. So we're gonna do cat. We're gonna display line numbers. That's gonna be option N, and we also need to do the $sign in the end to indicate the end of the line. That's gonna be capital E, and finally non-printable characters, which is V as in Victor, and finally the name of the file. At any time you can refer to the presentation, and in the examples over here you're gonna find all of the options that I am using. Press enter over here and notice that we got the line numbers, we have a $sign in the end, and we have here what is called a hard return, which is a non-printable character. It doesn't print, but it is there nonetheless. Again, I'm going to scroll a little bit, and here is my command, and here is some of the output. So I'm going to take a screenshot here. And all we need to show is our command and some of the output. Doesn't need to be a lot. This will be question 1.3.png. Done. Let's clear the screen. Now display the first two lines of the serial.csv file. See, not all the time you want the entire file on the screen. There are some times that you only want to see the beginning or the end of the file, or maybe the first 50 lines, or so on. So in this case, we can use head and tail consecutively. So for the beginning of the file, right, we want to display the first 5, the first 2, the first 10, the first 20, we use head. We want to see the last ones, right, the last 10, the last 5, the last 50, we use tail. So since they want the first 2, we're going to use head minus n to specify the number of lines, and then 2, and finally serial.csv. Notice that in reality you get here 2 lines of text, right? If I make my terminal smaller, you're gonna see that indeed it's only 2 lines that we're getting here in the output. Okay, now this is very small, so I'm gonna run the other one over here, tail minus n again, 2, and then serial.csv, and these are indeed the last 2 lines of my file. With this, I have completed question number 1. Now what I want you to do is, for the remaining of the lab, I mean, I'm gonna do it in the video anyway, but for the remaining of the lab, try to answer the questions without looking at the answer. So pause the video, try to solve it. If you can't solve it, right, if you spend 2-3 minutes per question, you can't solve it, then come to the lab and watch the solution, right? Because these commands, they are easy, but they are a lot of them. So because there are so many, it can get difficult to remember, right? But if you learn the basic formula, the basic usage, you'll be fine. So here, this is question 1.4, cars.png, and we're done with question 1. Now let's move on to question number 2. In question number 2, we're going to use cut and sort. Now, cut can be a little bit cumbersome to use, but it's not that tough. I'll show you. So here we're going to clear our screen, and we're going to be working again with CSV files, so I'm going to stick to my CSV files over here. They make this a little bigger. So we're going to display the first field of the cars.csv file. Now, before you do this question, if you have not done the notes yet, I suggest that you go to the presentation and you navigate to the cut command. Read over the presentation of the cut command so that you understand what we're doing over here, right? So you understand its basic formula, do some of the examples over here, and once you have finished reading over the cut command, then come back to the lab. That's if you have not done your notes yet. If you did your notes, then you should be fine. You should be capable of understanding what we are doing over here. So the first field of the cars.csv file. So first of all, let's take a look at how this file is delimited, right? Is it using a comma? Is it using a semicolon? Is it using a colon? Is it using a character? That is none of the above. Let's take a look, and for that we're going to look at the first row of the series of the cars.csv file. So let's do head -1, we can do n-1, or we can do simply -1, right? I prefer to use n1 because it's because n1 will be similar to how we use the tail command, so I'll like to learn things once rather than more than once, right? So head n1, and here we're gonna do cars.csv. Now we know that we have here several columns, and they are delimited by a semicolon over here, so that's gonna be our delimiter. Good, so let's do cut -d, and the delimiter here is a semicolon. Good, we got it. So now that we have that, we need to specify the field that we want to display. I only want the first field, so that's gonna be -f1, and then the file, which is cars.csv. Again, we specify the delimiter, the field that we want, or the column that we want, and then the file that we're working with. Press enter over here, and notice that the only thing we get is exactly the first field, right? Now let's scroll up a little bit, and here we have our command and we have our output. So let's print screen and take our screenshot. We get a little bit of the output, and we get exactly the command that we're using. Save it a screenshot. This is question 2.1.png. Let's move along then to 2. Display the first and the third field of the cars.csv file. So in this case, we're going to repeat the previous command. Let me just clear the screen. And in this case, we're going to say, hey, I want field 1, but I also want field number 3. Press enter, and exactly what you get. So you get field 1, and then you field number 3. Then we're going to do number 3 here. Repeat the previous command, but we're going to modify the output delimiter. Notice that in the output of the last command, the output delimiter was still the semicolon, the exact same delimiter we had before. In this case, we want to do an equal sign with 2 spaces, one in the back and one in the front. How do we do that? Very simple. First of all, we're gonna need to take our screenshot here. This output is quite large. And this is lab q2.2.png. Let's clear the screen. And now what we're gonna do is do the same command that we had before, but we're gonna use the output delimiter. And I like to use tab auto completion here. So I do 2 hyphens, then out, and then I press tab once. Then here, in quotations, I'm gonna put a space, equal sign, and a space, and end quote. Press enter here, and notice that now we don't have a semicolon, we have the delimiter that we specified in the previous command. Let me repeat the command over here and take my screenshot. Some of the output, and this is the command that will give that output. So we're gonna save, and we're gonna do q2.3.png. So now we're gonna sort the file cars.csv. Okay, so first of all, what we're gonna do is I wanna show you the file on its own. So we're gonna do just gonna do a head minus 10 minus 10 is the default, so I'm just gonna do head cars.csv. So this is the first 10 lines of the file. What we want to do is that we want to sort this file. Notice that it's not in any order whatsoever, right? Sorting by default is going to go by the first column here, right? So, and the first column, by the way, is this entire line, right? Because by default, sort is going to think that the space is our delimiter, but we know that the space is not our delimiter here. So let's see what happens when we try to sort it. So let's do clear, then sort cars.csv. And it sort of looks like it works, right? But if we want to sort by a specific column here, we're gonna have to modify this command. So first of all, let's take our screenshot here to demonstrate we completed the question. And this is question 2.4. We're gonna sort by calories, right? But we need to know which field number is calories on the serial.csv file. So I'm gonna clear my screen, and again, if I wanna look at the fields, right? Well, if I wanna look at the columns, I'm gonna do head -1 and then serial.csv. And remember, head -1 is the same as head minus n1. They are the same thing. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So calories is field number 4. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do sort, and to specify the field, the delimiter, we need to do T, and then here we're going to need to provide the character that is the delimiter of this file, and that will be a semicolon. And then finally we do -K, and K represents which one of the columns you want to sort by. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna sort by column 4th, right? Column 4. And then finally I simply provide the file name. Again, T to specify which is my delimiter, and then the column number here, and finally the file name. And notice that now this is sorted by calories. So if we look at this line over here and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we see that this says 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 90, 90, 90. And then what are you? This file is, this output is difficult to read. Let me zoom in a little bit. So we have this, ignore this, we ignore this, we ignore this as well. Let's take a look at the last 3 over here. Let's highlight them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90 calories, 90, 80 calories, 70 calories, 70 calories, all brown, 50 calories, 50 calories. You see the point here, right? It's sorted it based on the number of calories that each serving of the cereals have. So with that, we're gonna take our last screenshot for question number 2, and we're gonna move on to the last question. This lab does not contain a challenge question, right? Do it as many times as you need to. Try to understand the commands as you can. Because here we only want to practice. That's all we want for this particular lab. I only want you to practice as much as you can. So here, select, and then save. We're gonna do question 2.5, enter. Let's clear our screen and move along to question number 3. So display every line that contains the word war. And I like grep. I really like this command. Grep is like the control F of the terminal, right? It's really useful, and it can do more than just that. But this is what we're gonna focus on over here, right? So how do we parse through a file to look for something in particular, a given word, a given line, right? A given pattern, line by line. That's pretty much the magic that grep does. So we have 10 questions over here that we're gonna answer, right? We're gonna try to cover as much of the basic usage of grep as we possibly can, right? Because there is more than this. So display every line that contains the word war, right? Uppercase W in the book War and Peace. Now it's a book, so we're gonna need to go to our books directory. So we're in books. Let's take a look at what we have in here, and we do have a book called War and Peace, right? So we're gonna do grep, then the string that we're looking for, which is var, and then the file that we're going to be searching this string on, line by line, which is var and piece.txt. Press enter over here, and that's about it. It's gonna give you each and every one of the lines that contains the word var, and it's gonna highlight the word in every line, right? So notice that here it says, oh look, in this line you have the word var, here you have the word var, here you have the word var. Next, actually we can take a screenshot over here of this, because this answered the first part of question 3. So we're gonna click on save, and we need to go to, oops, sorry, I triggered the wrong flame shot right over here, and I only need this part and some of the output. Save. So this is question 3.1.png. So moving on, repeat the previous command but make it case sensitive. Now, like I said before, like you did with cut, do the same with grep. Find the slide that talks about the grep command, read over it, take a look at some of the examples, and when you're done, come back to the lab. In that way, you're not lost when we're doing this lab. So here I gave you some of the common options of grep. I recommend you keep this page open over here, or that you open the manual page of the grep command. Now, grep is very big, so the man page is really big. Now, we're going to repeat the previous command with case sensitivity disabled. For that, we need to provide an option. That option is -I. This is going to make it so that var, regardless of capitalization, is matched line by line in this file. Press enter, and notice that we have var here because it's part of the word forward. We have warranty because it's part of the word var, and so on. Again, my command and some of the output. Save this. Question 3.2.png. Now let's move along to question number 3. Repeat the previous command, but this time only display the total number of lines that contain the word var. So in this case, we want to get a number. We want to say, okay, so how many times that particular word is found in this file per line? Okay, how many lines do we get, right? So obviously we can use the pipe and WC for redirection. Of course we can, but grep can do that as well on its own. So if we do grep, again, let's repeat the previous command, and yes, we're gonna turn off case sensitivity, and C for count. And this is not going to display lines on the screen. Instead, this is only gonna display a number. So we know that 1,255 times we match this particular word. Next one. The previous command will only match the word var, even if it's part of another word. That is correct. Now, instead, let's match only the word var, right? So we're looking for that specific word. So wars, reward, toward, none of that is going to be matched here. So for that, we need to provide another option to the grep command called W, which is only going to match the word var, and it's going to ignore any substring. Here we have 293 lines. Moving on. Display every line that starts with the word piece. Include line numbers in the command. Okay, so I'm gonna take a screenshot this time because I know this command, by just the definition, it might be long, the output, and I don't want to lose this part over here. So take a screenshot, and again, I only need this part over here because it contains the output and the command that I ran. And we do question 3.3.png. Now we're gonna be looking for the word piece. It starts with the word piece. Okay, start with the word piece. So we're gonna do grep, and we're looking for the word piece. Good. And the file is var and piece. Do we need to turn on and off Case sensitivity, let's take a look. It didn't say it. It didn't say it in the question, but I'm going to turn it off either way, right? Now, notice that when we run this command, this doesn't work for us because it doesn't give me the word at the beginning. It gives it to me wherever it finds it. To do that, we need to use the carriage icon. Sorry, the carriage character in our computer, or caret. I think it's called caret. So it is the little house, right? The little hat, right? I think it's called caret. Correct me in the comment section. If I'm wrong. So grep minus I, caret, and then whatever string you put there is only gonna be matched at the beginning of every single line. So press enter over here and notice that that's exactly what happened. Oh, but wait, we didn't include line numbers, so now we need to fix that. So here minus n, enter, done. See, we got our line numbers, we got the word, and notice that it's at the beginning and the rest of the sentence, of course. Now I'm gonna take my screenshot here. However, the output wasn't as long as I was expecting, so I'm just gonna take another screenshot including the previous one, save it, and then I'm gonna overwrite the last screenshot that I took, because why having extra files if it's not really needed? Moving on, display every line that starts with the word the. Include line numbers in the command. Okay, so I'm going to clear. You know what, let me go full screen here, why not? So again, let's just bring the previous command here. The word that we're looking for is the, but this time around we care about capitalization. So line numbers is enabled, our caret is in its place, and we have the file name right there. So press enter, and these are all the words that starts with that. But notice that we also have some words that contains that as a substring or substring, right? Let's get rid of them. So let's repeat the previous command. Let's clear the screen and repeat the previous command. And this time around, let's match only the word. Press enter, and now you notice that it only gives us that all the way until the end. And it seems to be quite a large amount of lines that contain that. Let me see. Yep. Okay, good. So we're still in the same book, Dracula. Now let's see how many lines, just for the sake of it, right? Let's see how many lines. 1032. That's quite a number, isn't it? Okay, let's clear the screen. Let me repeat the command and take my screenshot. Some of the output, and the command is there. Save question 3.4.png, and we're done. Okay, now display every line that contains the word love inside every book file. It cannot be a variation of the word love. It has to be the exact word regardless of the case. Now this is where the grep command gets actually really cool, because I can obviously simply say grep love and then do what do we have here? Search, display every line of the word inside every book file, right? So, and then I can start typing the books over here. So we can do War and Peace, and then we can do Dracula, and of course we can do that. But that is not efficient. Now, there is an option for this. We can use recursive mode and simply provide the directory. And since I'm working in the current directory, I can do a period and a /, right? Because that will represent the current directory. And this is gonna look for every file that I have in this folder. Obviously, if I have other type of files here that are not text files or books, then I would rather use a wildcard for that, which we can, right? We can do period / and then star.txt, and this will do the job as well, right? So, but again, the only thing that we have in this folder is those files over there. So there is no need to provide the wildcard over there, because I know that the folders that I have, the files that I have in here are only books, and that's what I'm working with. So again, we're gonna do grep -r for recursive. It contains the word love. It cannot be a variation of the word, which means that we're looking for the specific word, not a substring. and it has to be the exact word regardless of the case, right? So we need to enable case insensitivity because we want it regardless of the case. Then we search for love, and let's see if we find love inside War and Peace. Actually, inside every book. Okay, so again, let me zoom in a little bit. Grep, recursive mode, search for the exact word, turn off case sensitivity, and then look for the word love and see if we find it in the books. Press enter over here, and of course we're gonna find it in the book. Did we have to put line numbers? Display every line inside the book. It can be a variation, and it has to be the exact same word. We didn't have to put line numbers here. Now let me zoom out a little bit so that I can show you what I mean. These are all inside War and Peace, all of them. But if you keep scrolling all the way, wow, you figure here is the Bible, all the times that the word love is mentioned in the Bible. And if you keep going up, of course, you know, the output is quite large because we have a lot of books there. They are quite large, and the word love is a very common one, right? And 2 of those books at least contain a lot of that word. And see, the book name and then the line, and highlighted the word that you were looking for, right? The string that we were looking for, right? Let's take our screenshot of this because this answers our question. And this will be question 3.5.png. So now that we finished with number 7, let's go along with number 8. Search for any 5-letter word that starts with L, right? Letter L, lowercase, and ends in letter D in every book file. Notice the lowercase L and D, and make sure to include line numbers. Okay, right? I press enter here so that I go straight to the prompt. Let me clear my screen, and we're gonna start with grep. So we know that the particular word that we're looking for needs to start with letter L, right? That we know, and it needs to end with letter D. So we know that, right? So we're gonna type that from the get-go, and we know that we're gonna enable line numbers. So N, and that's it. So line numbers, and we don't want to turn off case insensitivity. So that's the only option that we need. Now, we don't know which are the characters that are going to be between L and D. So for that, grep allows us to use periods. And this is going to look for any character that at least once, right? Any character once. But how many we're looking for? Well, the word needs to contain 5 letters. We already have 3 there, 4 and 5. So again, it's going to start with L, indicated by the caret over here. It's going to end with D, indicated by the D over here. And then it's going to have 3 characters here because this is a 5-letter word. And last time I checked, 2 plus 3 was 5. And then finally, where? We're going to do it in the whole directory, our current directory. So for every single file. Press enter over here, and notice a problem there. It says, hey, this is a directory. I made a very silly mistake. I'm trying to do a recursive search without recursive on. That is crazy. Press enter over here, and notice that we get exactly what we were looking for. You got line numbers, you got the name of the book, and then you get the word that you're looking for. And yes, starts with L, ends in D, and it contains 3 characters in the middle. All of them match this criteria, including this one over here, right? It starts with L, ends in D, and it contains 3 characters because the space is a character, right? Just because it's not a word, it does not mean it's not a character. Now let's take a screenshot of our question solution. And it's right over here. So this is my command, sum of the output, and then save. Then we do question 3.6. Press enter, and we save question 3.6. Now let's move along to question number 9. Search for any 4-letter word that starts with D, contains a vowel after D, and 3 more characters in every book. So we're gonna clear the screen. It's gonna be an easy one too, right? Trust me on that one. Again, grep, and then let's write the parts that we know. We know that it's a 4-letter word, and we know what it starts with. So we know it starts with D, and it's 4 letters, but it needs a vowel after the letter D. We just don't know how to do that yet, but we know it's 4 letters. So we're gonna do 1, 2, and then we're gonna close it there. Good. Starts with letter D, a vowel, and 3 more characters in every book. So I don't need to enable any other option. The only thing that I need is capital R for recursive. Now let's figure out this part. Another cool thing about grep is that grep allows us to use brackets, right? Square brackets. Remember the wildcard thingy? Well, we can do a set here as well. So what are the vowels? A, E, O, I, O, U. And we need 3 characters here. Let's read. So it starts with D. Yes. Contains a vowel after D. Yes. Because only these are going to be matched at least once. And then 3 characters. 1, 2, and 3. Good. And it needs to be recursive because we're talking about everybody else. Now let's make it a little bit more interesting. Why not? Let's make sure that we match only the word. Right? Just because. And let's enable line numbers. Why not? And how about we also disable case sensitivity? Again, we're doing this just because, right? So whether you give me this or the actual answer, it's fine with me. Press enter over here, and yeah, we get exactly what we're looking for. Notice the book name, notice the line number, and notice that we have exactly here letter D and a vowel. All of them have letter D and a vowel, and then after that they have 3 characters, each and every one of them. This one over here also includes uppercase characters, right? Why? Because we disable case sensitivity in this particular command. And there you go. Quite a lot of matches, because that's a very common character combination in English, right? Letter D. A lot of words there. So take a screenshot. Here's my command. Here is some of the output. Question 3.7.png. And then the last one that we're gonna do is a bit of a silly one, but it can come handy too. We're gonna search for every word that's repeated twice, right? Every word that contains 2 A's, one after each other. So for this, we're gonna use the braces. So we're gonna do grep minus E. Right? And let's also turn off case sensitivity, so it matches uppercase A and lowercase a. Right? And then also R, because we are doing this recursively. Are we? No, we're working with the Dracula book, so no need for R. And now we're gonna look for letter A, open and close brace, and then here provide the number of times that character is expected to be repeated. We said twice, so 2. And finally, well, the file that we're working with. Let's take a look. Grep. We're gonna turn off case sensitivity, right? E for regular expression, and then we're gonna do A, which is the character we're looking for, and then the number of times we are matching that character, which is twice. We want AA, right? Every word that contains 2A, so all, for example, is an example. Press enter over here, and notice that we got Harlem, and we get Harlem here as well, right? So why? Because this contains the word AA in here. Now let's do another example, but with a different word. For example, let's say E, for example. Why not? Press enter. See, fee, free, agree. Now let's do L, for example. See, double L, double L, double L. Let's see SS. Let's see S, for example. Anything that has 2 S. Yes, mission, possessed, permission, associated, and so on. Okay, so now the answer was with A, so I'm gonna take a screenshot of this one. Take a screenshot here. Again, I got some of the output. Oh, You're gonna have to repeat the command to get the proper output, but it is what it is. And then save. Then question 3.8.png, and you're done. You have completed this. You know how to make the markdown file. You know how to do the rest. You've been doing it for a while. This is lab number 7. So you have done seven labs, of which of them 6 you use markdown for. So I don't think I need to show you how to make the markdown for this one. It's quite a standard. So I'm gonna end the video here to keep it short. Remember, after you complete this lab, you do the git commands, you give me the PDF file, right, and the URL to GitHub. Now, after you finish this lab and you submit everything and you complete all the work, please take a snapshot of your system, right? Delete any previous one and take a new one. They'll come handy later on, trust me. With that said, if you have any questions, you can find me in the Slack or you can talk to me during class. Take care.